Hello. There's not a great deal going on, so I'm just going to ramble about some stuff. Right. Uh, where to start, really? Games wise, one thing I did overlook for a week or two, and then I saw some videos on it, and then I thought I'll give that a go, was the Grand Theft Auto enhanced. But there's a mod that's came out for it just recently, which is the natural vision enhanced one. Um, I cannot recommend it highly enough. In the past, because obviously the game's been out a long time, I did try lots of different kind of little mods and reshades and things like that, and they were all nicey. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's an old game as such. But recently, they did the whole ray tracing thing built into the game rather than kind of forcing it on through a third party bit of software, which improved things. But I'll leave a link to the actual guy who's done this. It's I think it's called Razor. I think Razor Mods or something like that. He's released one. It gives a description on how to install it. And fair enough, you do need quite a bit of a beefy PC to run it. But if you can run it, I highly recommend you go back and replay that game with this mod. Uh, it's absolutely blew me away. I thought, well, I'll give it a quick go and I'll see what I think of it, and it'll be nice or whatever, but it won't pull me into it. I've restarted the game. It's really good. Some of the texture work, the lighting, the night cycles, the weather. It's literally like I don't even know. I wouldn't say a full remake as such, but it's certainly got a lot of polish to it now. Where if it was to come out now, you could accept it and say, yeah, apart from maybe some of the actual texture work closer, and obviously some of the movement work as well compared to some modern day games. That would maybe be the only things that give away, but all the other stuff, I'm really blown away by it. Can't recommend it highly enough. Like I say, you do need a bit of a beefy PC to do it justice, but I'll recommend you go and check that one out. The other game which I was looking at but I didn't go for was that Mind's Eye, which just came out. It looked nice enough, but one of the things which bothered me, obviously it was going to need a lot of patches, most of these modern games do, was the fact that I've seen so many people finishing it now in like between 8 and 9 hours. In the UK, it's at full price and it's not worth it. Even if it was cheaper with the bugs, sometimes people will buy games even though there's got some jank to it if the price is right, knowing that it will get patched as such. But that game is definitely I want to try, but it needs probably 2-3 months worth of patches, and it needs to come down probably to about half price. It was a bit silly to try and push that game out there when it had so much bad press about it. It was a first time release. They should have done some sort of goodwill thing and made it on the cheaper side just to try and win people over. But it looks like they've gone out to try and make as much money as they can on day one, because on day two, it's not going to sell anything. So that's a bit of an unfortunate thing. But I'm not any drought now because I'm restarted Grand Theft Auto 5. Never thought I'd be doing that. Other thing, cable in here, different. Now, I'll go on about this story with these cables. Now, when the 4090s first came out, obviously we had the NVIDIA one, which is the big tentacle thing. Ugly as hell, worked. But again, ugly as hell. I was using that with an EVGA PSU, and all was good. But then it just got to the point of like there was just too many cables. I think I changed my case at the time. It was a bit of a pain, and I ended up getting a cable mod cable, which was I think it was 3 or 4 connectors, or was it maybe 3? I can't remember now. Songo that went into one. So you had like 3 or 4 went from the PSU, and it then went into this one on here. That cable worked fine. I didn't have any issues with it. That was all good. But me being me, I ended up changing the PSU. I got an Asus one. Now, we're doing that. The cable wasn't compatible, so I had to get, I think it was, I'm trying to think back now. No, sorry. I had an Asus cable that came with it. Now, when I was using that Asus cable, I noticed that the wires were a lot thinner than most of the ones, but it worked and everything was okay. And then I started getting random black screens when all the fans would ramp up, and it was the thing which was plaguing a few people out there, and it just seemed to get worse and worse. And I was like, what the hell? Is this my card or whatever? But after doing a bit of research, it seemed to be that it's actually the cable. A lot of the cables were failing. The actual sense pins were really brittle, and the cables and stuff. And it just seemed to be that one was had the same issue. Cable Mod announced that they were bringing out a cable which was going to be called a stealth cable, which will rectify that issue that everybody was having with the black screen and all the fans ramping up and stuff. And they said they'd found a way around that, and I was like, okay then. So I had to wait a few weeks for that one to arrive in the UK. Was using that one, grand, absolutely everything fine. No more black screens, no more fans ramping up, all good. But at the same time, while this was all going on, when things dawned on me what I could do, and I started using, if anyone's seen it, where I actually have a 10% cable which goes from my motherboard, and I've got it sitting on top of the actual connector, and then I have it, it's gone to the, never mind, but I do actually have a screen, but it's on a screensaver because I've been talking, and it actually displays the temperatures and stuff on there. But the good thing about that is I can see if anything untoward happens using AIDA64, and I can also see like the temperatures, and I've set an alarm where if it goes above a certain temperature, it will notify me, and then if it goes above another certain temperature, it will literally shut the PC off, so it'll stop anything from melting. And that was just something which I did a long time ago. I recommend if anyone had that motherboard temp sensor where you could actually plug it into your motherboard and do that, to do the same thing, and AIDA64 obviously as well, and a screen. So that was all plugged in, and then in the last 2 weeks something unusual happened. I was playing some of the games. Now obviously with that screen sat in front of me, I usually play the same games until I get them finished. It's normally like 2 or 3, so I know the temps that they normally hit a roundabout way. Obviously some days are hotter than others, but I can tell when something is not right. And I was sat there and I was watching the actual temperature of this connector, and it was climbing a lot faster than usual and getting to higher temps. And now at first, on the first time it happened, I thought, well, this is maybe just because it's a warm day, obviously the air temp, blah, blah, blah. But then it was happening on other days where that wasn't the case. And like I say, it wasn't getting crazy hot, but it was certainly getting, say, 8 to 10 degrees hotter than it ever used to. And that kind of like spooked me, because it's never done that, and it was even doing it on some of the games which didn't have the same kind of power draw as what some of the bigger games did. Now, I actually unplugged it thinking, oh, this is it. This is the start of something happening here. Nothing wrong with the PSU, nothing wrong with the GPU, nothing wrong with the cable. Now obviously that's because I've got that monitor thing on there, and I probably stopped it long before anything like that, temperatures even got that high. Putting it back in, everything's working again. Temperatures seem normal, everything else. About a week passed by, and then it happened again. And I was like, well, I'm not particularly digging this, because the game I was playing at the time was on like about 200 watt power draw. Shouldn't be getting anywhere near the temps that it did, but again, that sensor thing climbed really high, much higher than it should do. So that was it. After that, I got in touch with Cable Mod, and I said I'm probably being overcautious here. There's probably some reason to it, but considering the actual wattage draw was not what I'll call high enough for it to be doing what it was doing. The only thing which I could think it would be doing is the amp draw, which would be where it's pulling too many amps through it. I don't know anything more other than that. Again, it was just me, because I'm literally sat here looking at these things. Ever since my MSI Supreme X melted a long time ago now, I've been really, really cautious, and I've been safeguarding everything. And so to me, it just seemed unusual that those temperatures were doing that. So I got into your cable mod, not a problem. I said, right, if you just got your cable up, shows that your cable's destroyed, and we'll send another one out to you. It's like, not a problem. So I'm literally just waiting for that one to arrive. And I will be using that cable because, like I say, I don't know why it did what it did. I don't know if it's when I've taken the back off the PC and I've moved some stuff around when I've been like cleaning some of the dust out and stuff, whether that movement has dislodged something. I don't know whether when I've been doing the same on the front, whether I've unplugged the cable and I've maybe just grabbed one wire just slightly wrong and it's maybe done something there. So I can't say that it is 100% the cable. It might have been something which I did. I doubt it because I'm really, really cautious of these things. But you know what I mean? It's one of those things that you can't say, oh, it definitely wasn't me. It's definitely the cable. Because I do plug the thing in quite a few times where if I'm moving things around or altering things, or sometimes I like to take a lot of the stuff out so I can actually clean all the fans and stuff and get a lot of the dust out if there's anything in there. And if I remember back, the NVIDIA original cable that came with it, the octopus looking thing, I think everybody was complaining because somewhere on some documentation it said that it had like about 10 or 20 uses for basically pulling it out. It recommended not to go over like 10 or 20 times doing it, something like that. Because I know there's a lot of people saying, what's that all about? And I think obviously it was back then, they even knew back then that it would cause problems if you kept plugging things in and out, and the cable or the GPU might suffer for doing something like that. But yeah, so that's on the way. So in the meantime, I have to try and find a cable which would work, because I originally put the Asus one back in, completely forgot about it giving me all the black screens. After about 2 days, black screen started turning up again. I was like, oh, this is why I got rid of this. This is why I didn't want to use this cable, because this happens. So anyway, I jumped onto Amazon, and it's a minefield. There's so many cables, but I know that Easy DIY. I've seen their stuff, and I've actually used some of the stuff before in the past. And that was the one which I picked up there, just a small box. This one was just red and black, just something different instead of just getting the all black. From in initial looks when I got hold of it, it's just flexible enough for the way I like, to make it do the bends I need to do. The cables feel very sturdy and well put together. The way the Sense cables are actually tucked away, they seem pretty secure the way they've been done. And I can say that I've been hammering it with this Grand Theft Auto 5 mod and everything, which at times pulls 420 or 30 watts at times, and the cable's been solid, no black screens or fans ramping up, nothing. It's working as intended. Like I say, that's just going to tide me over until the cable mod cable arrives. But yeah, it's going great so far. So if anybody's after one, like I say, I'll leave a link for that as well. But they do like different, I think they do like white, black, black, red, and some other colours. I think there's a few of them on there. I recommend that one. And like I say, that's with use with an Asus PSU. But apart from that, there's not a lot to go on about really. Obviously people are waiting for another driver to drop for NVIDIA. Actually quite surprised one didn't turn up yesterday or today. I was expecting something to turn up, maybe to coincide with Mind's Eye. I mean, I know it's not a massive game, but it's just with some of the issues and it's hard. I don't know whether they're going to try and tie something in, because they are trying to do a lot of sponsorship and trying to push the game and such. And it is a bit of a shame considering the pedigree of where it came from. I mean, the guy's done it. It's one of the ex Grand Theft Auto guys. So it is a bit of a shame it's gone the way it has. But the game, it's pretty obvious that it needed a couple of more months in the oven before they released it. And they also needed to release a more reasonable price to try and win people over, try and get people on board. Especially if with all this talk about future projects where they're wanting to actually go on to do other things, But if you want to try and get people on board, even if your game is buggy, you want to try and get them on with a good price at least, so that they kind of keep things in mind, or they're kind of a bit more receptive to anything you're going to do in the future. But I say going full price and releasing something that buggy, and then you're going to release other stuff in the future, you're going to be like, I remember what you did the first time, and I'll give this one a pass. So yeah, that's got off to a bit of a bad start, to say the least. Yeah, so apart from that, I probably won't be back here until another driver drops. But again, for anybody who keeps asking about it, if you run a 2000, a 3000, maybe even a 4000, you're probably best off sticking with that. Is it 566.36 from last year, or even some of the other ones before that, really. Some of them have actually got some decent praise. You might be better off just sticking with that and just leaving these drivers at the moment, because like I say, I think it's been 14 or 15 drivers if you're including hot fixes in 112 days, I think it is now, which it's you're averaging out like one a week. I mean, obviously it hasn't been one a week, but if you were to spread it out, which is insane. Like I say, I remember the good old days of AMD and some of their long cases of insanely bad drivers, but that was just a case of the drivers didn't come out as often, they were just terrible. But yeah, I've never known a time like this for this many drivers. And to be fair, most of these drivers are all aimed at trying to get the 5000s to work. As I can say, the 4000s, they've all been doing their thing. They've been out for years and they've been doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's the 5000s, which these were all based around, really try and get them up and running, and they're still not nailing it. And it's really, really strange why it's taken so long. I hope it is just software and it's not something to do with the architecture or some of the AI technologies, but it's just some of the things, like even the handshake when they're booting up. It's really, really strange that the drive, if it's purely just software that won't even allow it to do a handshake when it first boots up, that's really odd. Especially after this many drivers and they still can't nail it. So I don't know. Like I say, fingers crossed for those who own the 5000s that this comes to an end soon. Because I certainly wouldn't like to have bought onto these 5000s and literally be stuck with a card you can't play. I mean, I was just on Reddit last night and there was somebody with I think they had a 4090 and they sold it to their friend, and they bought I think it was a 5070, or was it 5070 Ti or something like that, or 5080, can't remember now. And they said they haven't been able to use the GPU for 2 months. They've literally been stuck with it and they can't play anything. And they're busy trying to sell that one and try and get the 4090 back off the friend. But I remember when these first got announced, I said to anybody that has a 4090, keep it. 4080 and below, there was reasons, but if you had a 4090, just to skip these 5000s. But yeah, anyway, later.